Let's go to the third part of this trilogy with the SEC tonight. Arkansas finishes it off. They knock out Cincinnati, last year's playoff team. Big tough win tonight with the Razorbacks at home again, defending Jurassic Park. Hack, let's just start with you there. 31-24 for Arkansas over Cincinnati. How much can you extract from that? Last year's big win, they had several, but the notable one was they knocked the hell out of Texas. Are the Razorbacks now something we got to start paying attention to?
I mean, I think you heard it on the broadcast. They had the hardest schedule in college football last year and won 9 football games. I love Sam Pittman. I love his attitude that he brings. He's a big focus on the front seven and the offensive line. That's his background. I think Arkansas is going to be able to play with anybody from a physicality standpoint. And at the end of the day, when you cut through all the fluff, football is still about that, winning in the trenches. You can control the line of scrimmage. You can win football games. We'll see what happens. I think that Cincinnati had a lot of question marks, and not to take it away from Arkansas, but I think Cincinnati answered some questions in terms of filling talent that they lost. I thought that they still played well. And it's another one. I just can't reiterate enough how much I love these matchups, because I think it's really good for these teams. And to your point, Bryce, what have you done for me lately? You answered question marks. You came out, you played tough. We'll see what happens. But I think Arkansas, I think they can make some noise just because of like I said, I think the brand of football they play, I buy it. I'm a big fan of it. And I think that moving forward through this tumultuous SEC schedule, like we've all pointed out, that's something that you can fall back on. And if you can continue to come out and put your best foot forward from a physicality standpoint, have the athletes like they do outside to make plays, they can put themselves in positions to win football games every Saturday. So I'm by hype. I don't know. I think they're a really good team, and I think it's great for the health of the SEC and their conference, having a team like Arkansas in there who could knock anyone out at any point in time.
Trevor, speaking of that knockout blow, they did. Here comes a playoff team from last year in Cincinnati. Sound discipline. Luke Fickell is going to be the next coach to take any big heavyweight Power 5 job. You knew they were going to come in prepared. They're talented. They had 9 Bearcats last year drafted, went toe-to-toe with the Roman Army last year for at least a half. No frills tonight. Both sides of the ball, they earned it. Arkansas, big win. How did you project this? How do you see this? And what does this mean now for Sam Pittman and KJ Jefferson and Kendall Browse?
Yeah, I think Arkansas is definitely trending up. I'm not a believer yet. And the reason why is, yes, love Luke Fickell, as you mentioned, doing an incredible job there at Cincinnati. Last year was a Cinderella year, but they had Desmond Ridder, right? I mean, Desmond Ridder was a big piece of that puzzle. They're not like some of these other schools we've talked about here on the show that can just reload and reload and reload. So to show the type of team that they fielded tonight, Cincinnati, says a lot about what Luke Fickell is doing there. But I don't think they're near as talented as the Cincinnati team we saw last year. So I think the jury's still out on Arkansas. Tough schedule ahead. They got a couple of easy games, I would say, coming up here the next couple of weeks. So they may look good for a little while, but once they hit the teeth of the SEC, I personally think they fall off pretty quickly.
Bryce, can I just go with you on just a bigger piece of this deal? People either buy in the SEC wholeheartedly, or they're really cynical about it and they just say, yeah, it's just top heavy and the rest doesn't really matter. An unranked Gator team that found itself with a new head coach, a new squad, knew this and knew that, and under new management banner out there, took out the best team in the Pac-12 10-8. And then if you go west about 1,000 miles, the Arkansas Razorbacks welcomed in Cincinnati. They go 12 rounds and knock them out. And that game was never really in question for Arkansas. They really did have control of the game from start to finish. Does this speak more to the point from top down? Jurassic Park is something to deal with. It's not just a couple giants up top.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, because I think if you're Cincinnati, you scheduling that game at Arkansas says something, right? That you have to go out and create a statement game one, which again, I think to Trevor's point, I kind of disagree a little bit. I think even switching your question up a little bit, George, I think if I'm the Big 12, I'm absolutely loving that game. That game going the way that it did, to have, again, those 12 rounds that you're talking about, to be as engaging and as a fun, to be a fan and watch that game, says a lot about who Luke Fickell is, to be able to reload a team that you wouldn't think would be able to reload a team like that, knowing that they've had all those starters, with Sauce Gardner and then Desmond Ritter, obviously, as your guys got 100, records in the books over there for Cincinnati football. So, look, I think that you have to buy into the SEC just because of what it does to your program. If you go to an SEC team and beat an SEC team, it really doesn't matter who it is, outside of just a couple of teams. But I think from a top-down perspective, having SEC win on your roster outside of the SEC, it just means it means a lot. And then even when you look postseason into bowl games, when you have an SEC win at a bowl game, man, it's just a big deal for your program. So I think you have to believe the hype about the SEC, regardless if you're cynical or not. I think that's the kind of the conference in college football.
So that wraps up the SEC. Again, Georgia eviscerates the Ducks 49-3. Florida Gators stand up toe-to-toe with the biker gang from Utah and knock them out 12 rounds. Showed a lot of resilience there. And then Arkansas does the exact same thing with Cincinnati in an opener. All three fly the banner there for the SEC in Jurassic Park. Quick note here for the listeners: Field of 12 after dark. You can see us. You can see us if you're really talented, or hear us on Sirius XM, ESPNU channel 84, Sirius XM, ESPNU channel 84. Fellas, let's give a quick tip of the cap to some other first-year coaches this year. Well, not first-year coaches, but first-year debuts in their new homes. Mario Cristobal in Miami, look, tune-up game against Bethune. They got out there and they got going. Brent Venables and Lincoln Riley, they also had some tune-ups. We will see and learn more from those guys later. They had some pretty spectacular nights, but the competition wasn't all that spectacular.